Hello everyone, my name is Andrew Peche. I'm a interiors photographer from South Orange County, California. And if you're watching this in series, we just kind of talked about ways to start your real estate photography portfolio, but we were talking more about exteriors and little sneaky little ways you can start your portfolio because we know it's tough. And in this lesson, I'm going to talk about ways that I personally started my interiors portfolio, okay, little tricks that you can use, okay? So I'm going to get right in here, and this is only going to be one kind of topic I talk about in this lesson, so that'll be nicer. We can focus in on it. But the first thing is you should be shooting every single interior you can, right? You should start at your own house, of course, work your way up to your friends, and hopefully you have a little skill by the time you get to the nicer your friend's cousin's brother or something like that, might have like $1 million house, right? So you can get in there, but make sure you develop your skills a little bit first. Don't just make that the first thing you do. So that would be number one. So shoot anything you can get and, get in there and practice, work on your techniques. But this thing we're going to talk about here is when you're finally starting to like your images and, you just feel like you have these nice shots, but they're not really fitting in selling your portfolio like the way you want. So that's what we're going to talk about here, okay? So I'm going to open this up, and this isn't the greatest image. This is when I was starting. I would have to take care of some of the problems in this image, like this reflection and stuff, but I want you to kind of ignore that for now. I'm going to just kind of get in here and set this to something that's reasonably. Let's just see, this isn't really what it's about, so I'm just going to do this quickly, okay? Probably warm that up a little. All right, but we're just going to get in here, and I'm just assuming that you've got images like this, okay? There's a window, everything looks pretty good, but you're just feeling like, I need a portfolio image. This isn't quite it, okay? And the one thing I'll note while this opens is this was the third time I had shot this bedroom. I had access to this bedroom. And each time I came back to the computer and I was like, oh, that's, that bed doesn't look right. So this was actually a mattress that we brought in from the downstairs bedroom, and it made the bed look a lot nicer. And like the other one, the bed just looked weird. We staged it. We kind of moved everything around. We got everything to where we were thinking it looks as good as it's going to look. Okay, so when you have time to do this stuff, which you do usually, when you're in the homes of friends and family, take your time and make sure everything's perfect, okay? Because you don't post your way into a good photo usually. You can't like move a coffee cup over here or whatever. Anyway, just make sure you take note of that. Get the best staged picture you can, while you have that chance. Make sure everything's as good as it can possibly look, okay? The bedspread, everything. All right. But once you're in here, I'm just going to talk about a few techniques. One technique that, I think is really valuable, because this is sort of an average looking home, right? Just like the home of everyday person. Okay. But we are going to get in here, and depending on where you live, if you live by the beach, if you live by a mountain, I'll probably pull a couple of these in just so you can see. All right. But you're going to understand the technique in any case. So we're just going to copy this on top. So you do that. We got a nice image of the ocean here, right? And what we're going to do is we're going to paste this image into our window. All right. So we're going to try and turn this, this home I think is about, $150,000. We're going to try and turn it into a $2 million home. Okay. So to move this over, you would just grab the move tool. It's up here, it's a little arrow, and you just hold shift and drag it up, although it might not line up so well. Okay, so that looks fine. And you're gonna have to start getting used to Photoshop. So if you I'm not gonna go all into it right now, but just trust me, Photoshop is where it's at. Okay, so you're gonna have to use Photoshop. It's not using Photoshop would be like crazy, like a baseball player that didn't know how to bunt or something like that. You gotta be able to know how to use Photoshop, okay? So I'll stop there. But anyway, you can go ahead and turn this off. And so we're gonna work on this layer first. we're just going to have that there. You know, we will need it later, okay? We're going to come back to our window back here. And let's see how we'll do this. We will grab this. It's called the polygonal lasso tool, okay? It's the one, not the lasso tool, but the polygonal lasso tool, okay? And what we're gonna do, I'm actually gonna get my mouse here because I feel a little more stable with this tool with the mouse. All right, so I never use a mouse, by the way. So we're just gonna select around this window, and in this case we're just gonna be telling kind of Photoshop what we want to show on that layer with our ocean, okay? And in this case, I wouldn't even worry about these what are they called, window sills? I wouldn't even worry about that, okay? Because why? All right, that would just be more work, okay? So we want to emphasize that view. That's going to be like the selling point of this photo. So you just click once and you can drag out and then click again and then drag down again. And I'm just going to click again. Each click, it just kind of bases you down. And we're going to click again right here. And this is looking about good to me. All right, maybe I'll click right there and then one more time. See the little O it has? That's telling you it's going to close it off, okay? So that's what we want. We want to be closed off. So what I'm going to do at this point, I'm going to go up here to this base, and it's not going to be ready yet, okay? So don't let this confuse you. And I see my selection is there. I'm just going to make a mask, all right? That's right down here. The little rectangle with a circle in the middle of it, all right? So you just press that button while your little marching ants guys are still there. You just made that selection. You just press that and see what it did. Was it cut that out, okay? And I know it's just a tree right now, but we're going to take care of that later, okay? And if this looks a little funny to you, we're going to take care of that later too, okay? So don't worry. So, but that's just step number one. So when it makes a mask for you like that, if this is confusing to you, you know, don't worry. This is called a mask, and it's just, let me back out a little bit so we get, so we can show you what's going on. So see, if I don't show this layer at all, see that's gone now. If I show the layer, we're just seeing that one piece of this photo, right? Just that one piece. And that's because this mask that we made, the black is blocking everything that's black on the mask is being blocked of this photo, and everything that's white is being shown on this photo, okay? So if you want to see what your mask looks like, you can hold down Alt and click on the mask, and that's exactly what your mask looks like, okay? But you know, if you really truly are super confused right now, I think it might be better to just go ahead and go out and just like watch a couple lessons on what a mask is. But for now, you know, I'm gonna keep going, okay? So I don't know if I could slow down so much and keep other people's attention, okay? So that's what a mask is, okay? If it's all black, I'm gonna make it all black. You can't see anything, right? It's all black. If it's all white, I'll make it all white. You can see everything. See, it's all white over there. So I'll go ahead and undo those last couple steps and get back to what we had, okay? But we're going to continue with our window, all right? So we're going to get in here, zoom in. We're just going to continue. So you're going to have a window in your photo, right? And you're going to just do the same thing. Okay, so we're going to continue. Same thing as we did above. And you should be able to get this, honestly, no matter what level you're at in Photoshop. You just need Photoshop. I know that's like the hardest part, all right? And when you get to a little curved surface like this, I would just say try and do as many clicks as you can. Like, instead of doing one long one, you might want to do 3 or 4 or 5 right in this small area. So it looks a little more rounded, okay? All right, and we will click right about there and right there. We'll do good. Okay, and now we can't use that same trick that we did last time and just press the mask button because we already have a mask going. Don't let stuff like that bog you down though. But what do we want? If you would look at this mask, what do we want to be in there, you know, within that selection we made? We want it to look like that, right? So we want white in there. White shows us things and black hides it. So right now it's all black in there. You know, why don't I actually just stay on this for a while? We want it white in here, right? So we got to get a brush. You can just push the B key on your keyboard. And, you know, why not just bump this all the way up? And we want to make sure this is white right here, the top one. Okay, you can switch it by clicking that, but we want to have white, all right? And just get in there and just make this white, okay? And if you want to see what that's doing, why don't we take this back? See what it's doing? It's just showing us that outside, all right? So we're getting that same effect that we got the last time we did this, okay? So we're pretty much at the point now where we're ready. Okay, let's check it out. Let's move back a little. And, you know, I'm feeling like we didn't even really need the photo yet because we're just making our little mask, right? But what we need to do is kind of move this. You know, we didn't go through all this trouble just to show you a tree out there, right? So the first thing you got to do is see masks. They come linked to your photo. Let's just call it your photo. They come linked, okay? So if you come over here and see, I want to move this now. So I'm going to get the move tool, the little arrow guy up there. I want to move this this background guy, this background layer. Or I'm calling it in the background because it's back there, okay? So the first thing I'm going to do is deselect that because we've already used that. We don't need it. So I'm going to just come up here, select, and then deselect, okay? Or you can use that shortcut and that'll deselect that. And I'm going to make a mistake here and I'm going to try and move this this layer back here, okay, so we can see the ocean. But see, it's not working, all right? So I'm going to undo that and do it the correct way. I just wanted to show you that these guys come linked with each other. And if you keep it linked, you cannot manipulate that layer that you're trying to, you know, lay in on the outside. So you got to unlink this, okay? So watch what happens now. The difference. See, I can now move that around. And guess what the mask is doing? The mask is staying exactly the same spot, okay? So before when I moved it, everything was moving with each other, all right? Makes sense? So that little chain link thing is very important. Make sure you get rid of that when you do this step, okay? Now, this may or may not look like realistic to you, but you know, you could play with whatever photo you wanted, right? We want that to be more realistic back here. And I think it's looking a little close, like, you know, houses aren't really like this close. So I'm going to select this, okay? Select that actual layer. And I'm going to go up here to edit. And I'm going to transform it, okay? And we'll go ahead and let's see. I guess I can do a free transform, all right? And we're just gonna, we kind of want everything to stay the same aspect ratio, so we'll hold down shift and just pull this down like something like that, okay? And you can just go as far as you think is necessary. And I don't think the people are, let's see. We can, if we don't like the people in there, we can move it later. But that's looking a little bit more something realistic, okay? Something like that. You know, it's whatever your eye is telling you looks good, okay? And again, we can, if we don't like those people, we can kind of just erase those later. I might do that, okay? Just so you can. So we see a little shore in there and we see a little, the blue water, all right? Okay, so we just want to hit enter now, hit return, and that'll set that free transform, okay? So now that's set. We changed the size of that, okay? And it changed the size of our mask too, okay? I mean, it didn't change. Actually, it didn't change our mask. I'm sorry. Our mask stayed exactly the same over the window. Sorry to say that. But we were changing the size of our photo. And we were able to do that independently of the mask because we unlinked it. All right? Okay, so let's keep going. Now, there are ways to make this look a little bit more natural, like the sun is coming in a little bit. I'm not going to talk about that too much, okay? I'm just going to talk about, I hope to give you a good starting point on, kind of tricking people into thinking you have these nice homes you're shooting, okay? Now, I'm going to go back to this. Make sure your mask, see right now we have the photo selected. Right now we have the mask selected, okay? Make sure you have the mask selected. And why don't you zoom in here a little. And there's a couple different ways to do this, and also depending on your version of Photoshop, but I want you to find this properties panel, okay? I'm going to purposely lose it. If you don't see the properties panel, come up here to window and go ahead and hit that properties and it's going to pop up, okay? And if you have your mask selected, I guess it sort of does depend on what version of Photoshop you have, but anyway, this should pop up. If it doesn't, you're going to have to figure out a way to, find out how to feather, okay? So we're going to go to this feather and we're going to try like a pixel and just watch closely, kind of closely right in there. Let me actually zoom in a little more because this doesn't look real, really. It's like an exact 1 pixel cutout. So that's not the realest looking thing. So we're gonna give that a little feather on there, okay? Just a tad, all right? And it kind of blurring those lines, and that'll make it look a lot more real, okay? Just blurring those lines a little bit around there, because we don't want exact cutouts, okay? And that's about as detailed as I'm going to go right there. I personally, it looks like I did. If you do too much, see, it's no good. That's 4 pixels. We're going to be at about the 1 pixel feather. It's just making it so that your cutout isn't an exactly straight line, right? That would never happen, right? So we'll zoom back out. And I mean, things are looking pretty good to me. And, really, that's it. That's all I want to show you. And I'll show you one last thing. Let's say you lived in the mountains, all right? Let's say you lived in the mountains. Let's say, if like this really is the case for me. This is a famous mountain range in the area I live in. It's called Saddleback Mountain. And so let's say you wanted somebody to think that this living room or bedroom had a view of, so-and-so famous mountain range, okay? And you can go as crazy as you want. You can make it like as crazy saturated or whatever you want, because we're going to pull it in. There's quite a lot of contrast in there. You could bump up the clarity if you wanted, make it like more clear, the mountain range. And we're just going to lay that on top, first of all, right? Don't worry. That's, it's okay. We lay it on top with the move tool. And we're just going to get rid of this for now, okay? And we are going to just move this mask, all right? We're just going to grab it and move it. That's it, okay? And that is off now. So, but we just wanted to try this new, you can try 10 of them, right? Just move your mask around, right? And just keep this off. If you put this on and had it, something strange might happen, okay? So just keep that off. You don't have to worry about it, the eyeball, okay? And we are going to do the same thing. It's already came unlinked, okay? So you don't have to worry about this time. We'll select it, select that, the actual pixel layers, and then we can move this around again, okay? And if we need to, we can go ahead and do the same thing, edit, free transform, hold down shift. This is making it look a little bit more realistic in my opinion. Hold down shift. And we have, all of a sudden we've got this amazing view of, Saddleback Mountain in our backyard, right? I went a little overboard with the sky, but everyone will recognize that as Saddleback, all right? So you might want to think about that, okay? Like don't go crazy with the sky, All right. That's just way too dark. Okay. So let's say, actually, let's say, I think it's good when you see the mistakes. Okay. So let's say I'm like, I don't like the sky. It's crazy. Okay. Don't even try and mess with it in here. Okay. You could, but just go back in here. Double click on, you're in, this is ACR. You should know what's going on in here. Bump the exposure way up because that's going to look more realistic. You're going to lose a little bit of the clarity on there, but that's all right. People are still going to. So I bumped it up a full stop. And we're just going to do the same exact thing we just did. Okay. We're going to get the move tool, move it over. We're going to move that mask up to the one we want. We're going to take that eyeball away. The other option would be to just delete it. Okay, you can just drag it right down here. Okay, we turned out, if you want to leave them there because you're not sure which one you like, you can. But you can delete them too. And we're already unlinked, so we can just maneuver this wherever we want. And this is looking, we have to do the, if you want a cool little tool, you see this? Transform and then again, you see that? So you can just do your last transform again, so it's going to do the one we wanted again. Okay, so don't forget that's a good one. So it's just going to transform that, and then we just have to move it into place. All right, so something like that. Okay, and then I think we hit return. I'm not sure. So that's it. You might want to do a little thing like a little dodging. I'm not going to go all into this, but it's going to make it like it's a little, because it's sunny outside, right? So this is making it kind of feel like sun's coming through that window and hitting the ceiling, okay? And we might want to do that a little over here, a little bit. And we can even do our window here in this case because it's like, that makes it feel a little better, all right? And I had a little bit more of a mistake over here in my lighting somehow. And so I might just burn that away. Okay. All right. So anyway, that is it. Okay. So why don't we take a look at that? I will actually, let me actually, and as I look at this, I usually do these lessons kind of impromptu, but I'm going to group these. Impromptu meaning, what am I saying? Like, I don't plan them out too well, but I think it's good because you see the actual mistakes that could happen. But here's the before, and here's the after. But the thing I wanted to talk about was, as I look at this, like I was saying, I didn't plan this out too much. So this particular photo was probably focused like right here, right? Like somewhere right here. In other words, like 10 feet away. So when you get this photo, for example, focus like 10 feet away, like you would in a bedroom. Okay, does that make sense? See, I can tell as I look at this, just because I look at so many photos, I can tell that that's like a big part of the problem with this, jiving with this, is that this is too in focus. Okay, so that, just keep in mind when you get these plates, they're called plates, like your stock photography, whatever you want to call it, that you have for yourself. Focus like you're gonna focus in an interior shot, like 10 or 15 feet away, and then this will be naturally like a little blurry. Okay, we're gonna go out, and just because I noticed that, we're gonna try and take care of this though. So we're gonna get a layer. I don't do this that much, so we might have a little trouble here, but we're gonna blur it, and we're gonna go ahead and use a lens blur. And let's see. So that's way too much, right? See, I picked a layer, so it's, let's see, radius, let's bring that down. And let's see, you can preview it here. See, that's doing next to nothing. So let's go about 20. This looks like too much to me. And the point is, you can just play with this blur, okay? I'm going to let you do it on your own, but something about 10 is looking about right to me. No, it looks a little too in focus. So I think that about does it. Like 13, for some reason 10 is a lot sharper than. All right, I'm going to try 12 or something. if you want really good advice, actually go a little bit too far, and then usually, let's just try that. I don't know, sometimes it doesn't work, but so I'll say, okay, I went a little bit further than I think I should. Yeah, see, it does look too blurry to me. And then a lot of times you go up here to edit, fade lens blur, okay? That's only going to be there right now. If you do anything, it's going to go away. So make sure you do it right away. Fade lens blur, and then we could bring it down like 50% or 100 or 10%, whatever we wanted. See, now that's starting to look kind of good to me, like right in there, okay? So don't forget that. That's another good trick. You can overdo things and then go up to edit and then, you know, fade it, all right? But anyway, I'm getting a little long here for the lesson. I just wanted to make sure you knew how to take care of this. You know, I think that looks a lot better now as far as like that it's a little blurry now, okay? And the reason that worked is because we had it selected. We had that layer selected when we did our blur, okay? All right, but that is it. I really recommend, you know, if you're gonna, you know, open a business, I really believe that. I don't want to give you kind of like nefarious advice or anything, but if you're gonna open a business, you're gonna have to cut little corners and stuff, and this isn't like any way like somehow bad that you're showing, you know, something that's not really in the house, okay? Just forget all that, okay? You might want to work a little bit on making them look a little more natural. So that'll be, you know, I'll leave that up to you, but I think I gave you a good basis here to kind of shoot maybe 2 or 3 living rooms and kitchens and bedrooms in your area, and you can go ahead and paste in, you know, stuff from around your area. You're going to have to go ahead and get out and get these actual photos yourself, of course. These you know, these photos like this yourself. You don't just take them off the internet, right? You go get them yourself, okay, and have your own files. And I think you're able to do this now if you followed that. Just paste those in, and you know, you'll have a nice little portfolio going, okay? With, you know, you're really kind of increasing your what would you call it, kind of production value, I'd say. All right, so that's it. Thanks for watching. I'm gonna go out here just in case anybody watching is interested. I will just forget that actually. I am currently in production making a video about how to get started in real estate photography. I'm not really sure when exactly it's going to be finished, but it's going to be, you know, how to get started. It's just everything from like f-stops to, you know, more advanced work in Photoshop. And so I would, if you're interested in that, I would subscribe to my channel, because I'll probably be updating people on those videos by way on YouTube, okay? And also, as you get further down the road, this is my class that I currently already have out. It's called One Light Real Estate Photography, and it's more advanced, so you know, you're going to have to be a little further along to understand what's going on in here. But this is how I talk about how we light things and do everything, pretty much anything you want to do in real estate photography, but with just one handheld light, okay? So you can check that out on my website, pechephoto.com, and then One Light Tutorial if you get a chance one day and you want to check that out, okay? So that is it. Thanks for watching. I hope that helped you with that. I hope that helps you kind of build up your port. I know it's a little trick, but you know, like Donald Trump has been in the news a lot lately, so you know, I'm sure he didn't like ever not cut a corner, right? He got to where he is. You know, he has a business. You got to cut little corners sometimes, right? I don't even consider pasting in a view cutting a corner. You know, the point is, don't feel bad about it or anything, okay? All right, so I will see you in the next one. That one went a little long, but you know, it's talking about the Photoshop concept, so you gotta slow down a little bit, okay? So I'll see you next time, and thanks again. Bye bye.